Welcome to the Baller Boys podcast. They're all about sports, and more sports. And now, the Baller Boys, Mark and Shemaya.
Hello, and welcome back to the Baller Boys podcast. It's your boy, Mark, but I'm not doing this alone. I am joined by the SOTB, Shemaya.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Shemaya? You sound excited.
Well, because we have a guest, man.
Oh, we do?
We had 10,000 episodes and we finally have a guest.
You're right. I know. I'm kind of nervous. Like, no joke. I'm actually sweating right now. But y'all, you heard it from us. You heard it from the Baller Boys. We have a special guest tonight, and I'm just going to go ahead and introduce him. We've got Rocky Garza Jr., the Rocky Rock himself. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, what's up? I haven't, talked sports with y'all and chopped it up in a while, man.
Yeah, it has been a while, but we're honored to have you on. And rather than me kind of just explain who you are, you know yourself best. So just go ahead and let them know. Let the audience know what you're all about, what you do. Who is Rocky Garza Jr.?
So currently I'm a freelance journalist. I write for the San Antonio Heron. I've done some stuff for my essay. Like I said, we used to talk sports. We were doing the radio show Sweep the League every Sunday. Miss doing that. Hopefully it's going to be coming back and maybe in a podcast form. But I currently also sports write. So I write for a Cowboys sports blog called Inside the Star. And I write for Project Spurs as well. My aspirations are to get in the sports media business, but I'm just taking it day by day and just enjoying the moment while I can and seeing what happens.
Well, there you go. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. You did pretty good. Yeah. All right. Well, you heard it. You heard it from the man himself. And with a special guest like this, that usually that means we've got a special topic. And as you all know, the NFL draft just happened, 2022, but Rocky has got a special background with the Dallas Cowboys, and we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys draft, our overall thoughts. There was a lot of controversy over that first round pick. We're going to talk about that, but and of course they may have found some hidden gems in this draft as well. But we're going to get into all of that on this segment of Baller Boys. So let's just get this started. Rocky, I enjoyed your tweet during draft night, and I wanted to just let us know like what your thoughts were about. Let's talk about the first pick, Tyler Smith, tackle from Tulsa. What were your thoughts on that pick, man?
Okay, so like from draft night to now, like you'll hear, I have different thoughts, but I had seen rumors and tweets that it was going to potentially happen, Tyler Smith, and like going off of consensus mock drafts, they were projecting him to be a second round pick, but people were like he's kind of raw, so it's like kind of a big risk. Yeah. I was kind of on the bandwagon when I saw another rumor from Jane Slater, Cowboys reporter. She was saying the Cowboys might move up. I was like, heck yeah, go for a Charles Cross, a tackle for Mississippi State, or a wide receiver, which I was on board for. But I was like, no, there's no way. There's Tyler Smith. I'm like, okay, like the Cowboys are coming up. People are falling. I'm like, okay, like maybe they'll get it. And then they're picked on the board. I'm like, okay, Tyler Linderbaum's there, the center from Iowa. I was like, I'm about that. Or Jermaine Johnson, who was a top 15 defensive end from Florida State. I was like, all right, let's do it. Or even Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. Mm-hmm. And then I see it, and I kid you not, I was at Dave & Buster's, watching it with my friend. And she just starts laughing because, I just dropped my phone and I'm like, there's no way that it's drafted this man. I was like, I have notifications on and I'm just like, there's no way. It has to be a prank. There's no way. That was the worst outcome that I thought would happen when those people were on the board. And I thought originally the Cowboys were going to move up because everyone seemed like they made it seem that they're going to move up. And man, Tyler Smith, that just ruined my whole night. And I just didn't know what to say. And my friends were clowning me about the pick. And I had one of my friends as a Cowboys fan as well. And he's just like, man, I don't even know why I support this franchise anymore.
Oh, man, that's brutal. Jeez. Yeah. Like we just mentioned, kind of a controversial pick, but at the same time, you had an idea that they were going to go with this pick.
Yeah, for the most part. It was the writing was on the wall. They're going to go something on the offensive line. And as I said, I wanted a receiver. I was going to be content if they got an offensive line because you saw the departure of La'el Collins and Connor Williams. So I was okay. It's probably smart to get offensive line, but I was like, there's pretty good offensive line, tackles or guards in the draft, and later you can get on day 2. So I was like, a lot of people were projecting Traylon Burks to go to the Dallas. And I was like, okay, I'm down with that. He's a big body receiver. They were comparing him to Debo. I was like, heck yeah. But then you saw Traylon Burks, he went to the Tennessee Titans at 18 after, they traded A.J. Brown, which was a big surprise to me, to Philly. And I was like, dang, I was like, okay, there's still some receivers on the board, but all in all, they got the, guard. If you look at the recent news and they leaked, how Jerry made news when he leaked their draft board. You saw that Tyler Smith was rated higher than, a Zion Johnson, who a lot of people projected, or Kenyon Green. And Stephen Jones defended the pick. He said that, Tyler Smith has a lot of versatility. He's projected to be the, replacement for Tyron Smith eventually, but he's probably going to be put at guard. So we'll have to see about the pick.
Yeah, I did get I got some pros and cons here. So with Tyler Smith, he's got a lot of potential. He's got some good stuff. He's got good hands. He can do pretty well in the run game when it comes to blocking for defenders. He can develop into a good pass blocker. Some of the cons that I read up on him were, again, he has hand placement issues. Actually, I should go back and say that, but he has hand placement issues. So that's something they have to develop, and he's a little bit too aggressive. Apparently he had 12 penalties last season. And again, you just mentioned Connor Williams. You get shades of that issue with the penalties. So it's just going to have to come down to molding this guy and just kind of getting the most out of that potential through teaching and mentorship.
Yeah, and I'm way on board with that, man. What better than have Tyron Smith to teach you the way? Going off, like you said, the penalties, like I always saw that a lot. But I don't know, some people were saying that the penalties were him to being too aggressive, which I don't mind in a way, because you kind of need that nasty to be on the offensive line. But I'm not, asking this guy to go be nasty and go try to injure someone on purpose. But, you need to have that edge and set the meter, man. Just bring that real edge to the offensive line that they used to have. Everyone used to be scared of Dallas's offensive line. And now it's like you saw everyone just getting through the line, and Dak just not having any time to throw last year.
Yeah, the line was definitely something they had to address. And actually, from what I understand, the New York Giants sniped a few of the top draft options that the Cowboys were eyeing in Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Apparently, the Cowboys were looking at Neal. And again, you mentioned prior about the idea of the Cowboys moving up in the draft. And do you think they probably should have made something happen to try to go get Neal?
Oh, 100%. Evan Neal's going to be an all-pro. That's what he's projecting his ceiling is. And is he going to be one of those, one of the best, if anything, tackles in the league in the future? But you never know what's going to happen. Injuries can happen, or he just doesn't live to the hype. But I was on the board for them trading up, like I mentioned, Charles Cross or one of the receivers. But they had been linking that the Cowboys were really interested in Kayvon Thibodeau. And once I saw the Giants go after get Thibodeau and Neal, I was like, oh my God, like it's just like, of course, all the Cowboys division opponents are going to have like the best drafts of their life. You see the Eagles get, like I said, A.J. Brown, and then they go Jordan Davis. And I'm like, oh my God, man.
The Eagles went hard.
Yeah. And I have to admit, even though, I haven't heard a little peep from Shemaiah, Detroit did have a good draft, man. I'm really on board with Detroit did, with Jameson and Adam Hutchinson.
I'm be honest, Rock is the expert, man. I'm not staying in my lane tonight. We all know about my lines. So
was it Hayden Hutchinson, right? So what are your thoughts, man? Like, do you feel good? With the Dallas pick?
Tyler Smith, you can't really go wrong with him. Like if you think about it, you can't go wrong with that guy. So what y'all think about Sam Williams, though?
Personally, I had seen a lot of mocks going with Sam Williams. Really high motor guy. One of the best rushers in the SEC coming out of Ole Miss. But of course, the knock on him is, he had off the field issues. He had legal issues. But what's the one thing Cowboys love? They love talented players who have legal issues. If being honest, you see a lot of history of them taking prospects who have red flags. They love that high risk high reward type of guy. But, he was, got out of the legal issues. He was found not guilty, but still, he's still going to have that label around him. Mm-hmm. But I had seen him going either to the Cowboys at 56 or 88. So it was kind of a flip flop. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't mind the pick, but I thought they could have gone after like a Nakobe Dean who was falling big time. You go back to who you mentioned about how the Cowboys on the draft board, they had came out and said that if they didn't go with Tyler Smith with 24, they would have moved down and got Lewis Sine, who was higher than Tyler Smith. He's the safety out of Georgia, which I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if they would move down and got another pick out of it, and then gone with Sam Williams. But I just feel like they could have gone with someone else. A lot of people kind of criticized the pick, but even though he was projected on day 2 or day 3, mm-hmm. I really don't mind the pick. It kind of just solves a need that they have after Randy Gregory left. Does he start right away? I don't know. It seems like that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones has really big faith in Dorrance Armstrong, who he compared to Randy Gregory. And a lot of people joked, like, well, are you going to pay him like that or what? But a lot of people, when they saw the pick, they were saying that the Cowboys could have gone after the edge from USC, Drake Jackson, or Nick Bonito, who was the edge from Oklahoma. I agree with that as well. If they wanted to reach for a receiver in the second round, they could have gone, with possibly a George Pickens or a Sky Moore, which are both big pickups, or even moved up for David Ajaba, who has his Achilles torn, but he's going to be healthy once training camp, or not even when in training camp, probably in October, and you don't need him. But David Ajaba was a top 15 pick. So I was hoping they would move up. But ultimately, Sam Williams is a high motor guy. He has potential. I don't think you'll see him make like the hugest impact in his first year just because he's going to be a rotational guy. They did sign Dante Fowler. But I'm having some not high lofty expectations for the guy, but I'm hoping he pans out just well, because he, in his pre-draft interviews, he was saying he really wanted to play for Dallas and he felt like it was home. So it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah. You almost get that sense of loyalty right off the bat, which is pretty good. Like coming from a player, because that means he's dedicated. He wants to make it work. He wants to play there. Mm. From what I understand, this pick was actually pretty praised by a few outlets. I was doing a little bit of research earlier, and they actually praised this pick by the Cowboys quite a bit. From what I understand, Williams does need some work, but he's got a lot of potential. And like you said, they can start him in as a rotational guy, get that experience, and eventually work his way into, like a full-time starter guy.
No, yeah, of course. And although it sounded like I was getting a negative connotation around the pick, it's going to be a mix and match between what people say. Even though people were saying it was kind of negative about, how high he went, I was for the pick. I was like, okay, he's a big, edge guy. I was hoping they would land him or Nick Bonito, like I mentioned, or Drake Jackson. I think I saw one mock draft before the draft that I was really hype about, where they would land Christian Watson, the North Dakota State receiver, but he ultimately went to the Packers, which is a good pickup. And you should see him hopefully mesh well with Aaron Rodgers, even though I'm a very hater of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. But nonetheless, I think it was a solid pickup. You're just always going to have mix and match with people, what they say. It's kind of too soon of what to think or grade this draft, even though people love grading drafts, and that's what gets the clicks, man. You just grade the draft, but everyone's going to have their mixed opinions on stuff.
Oh yeah, I agree. And like you said, it's all about the clicks. It's all about getting the hype and putting your name out there. And, that's basically what people are doing. And, but it's funny because you mentioned the Packers drafting a receiver, and Shemaya and I had been on the Packers on this podcast on multiple occasions, getting on them about how they need to surround A-Rod with more weapons. So,
they wish they had Jalen. That's for sure.
Yeah,
because
they really wish they had him.
Just to spread a little excitement, because I know I've been quiet, but it's because, man, we had the expert Rocky, man. You know what I'm saying? But what do you think about Jalen Tolbert Rocky? Because we know coming from South Alabama, we know he had a little workout with wide receiver coach Robert Prince, almost calling him Price, but the price was right. But what do you think about what he's going to be able to contribute to the team? Because NFL tweeted out a picture of him working out dude looked like he about to like knock down walls. So, man, what do you think about this pick?
I think it was really a solid pick. I mean, it's my favorite pick of their draft. You know, I'm a big fantasy football guy and I'm doing dynasty, so I had some rookie drafts. So I was for sure drafting Jalen Tolbert. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to come in and contribute right away. And personally, I feel like he's better than Cedric Wilson off the bat, even though his competition was not as superior to, you know, against someone that comes from the SEC or Big 12 or any other big Power 5 conference. He's a guy who takes the top off. He's super fast, you know, like you said, looks like someone's going to run through a wall, and he's really underrated. He was up there in the nation of yards after the catch, and that's kind of what the Cowboys need. You know, whether he's that fourth receiver or not, but I think he can start off the season as the wide receiver 3. He'll be able to get mix and match, you know, some opportunities probably with Simi Fehoko, because you imagine Michael Gallup's going to be out for the first couple of weeks, so you're going to run with CD. James Washington, who they signed. I mean, there's no way they don't play James Washington. You're not going to sign someone and not play him. A lot of people are hype about that. I have a little bit of hope for him.
I thought that was a pretty solid pickup.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I was like on the fence about the signing because I kind of, you know, was talking to my friends. I was like, why didn't they go after Odell or Jarvis Landry or Will Fuller? You know, that could be a person that be a vet that can help Dak right away. But I mean, James Washington was a really underrated signing. It was kind of funny how Dez predicted it, you know, an Oklahoma State guy to Oklahoma State guy. But I think he has a lot of potential, and you got him for cheap. And his money's not guaranteed, so he's going to make the roster, no doubt. But I think you can probably see Jalen Tolbert filling in that wide receiver 3 role pretty seamlessly. I have some hope for Simi Fehoko. You saw some flashes from Noah Brown last year, so it's not too bad. I am still kind of mad about the Mari Cooper trade. It made no sense to me. You know, the Cowboys clear out money. They're like, well, we need to stay under the cap, but then like they don't spend it. So it's like, what are we doing here? You know, and we get a 5th round pick. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they got the short end of the stick there. It also just felt like a rush job, like a kind of a desperate attempt for them to get something for Cooper, because the rest of the league kind of knew that he was going to get cut otherwise. So to me, it was just kind of like a last ditch effort to get something for him, which is too bad. But I mean, they kind of put themselves in that situation, unfortunately. But no, again, the Tolbert, Jalen Tolbert pick was also praised from a few outlets that I was reading up on, and they praised the Sam Williams pick, the Jalen Tolbert pick. Apparently, he's also kind of a project too. Like he needs some work, just like Sam Williams, just like Tyler Smith. And that's kind of a theme I want to talk to you guys like later once we kind of wrap this part up about. Kind of as a theme for this draft. But are there any other names, like any other draft picks that kind of stuck out to you that might have come across as like diamonds in the rough?
I'm really hyped if he gets real healthy. I saw Stephen Jones kind of say there's a chance about Damone Clark. I'm not saying, people, when they hear this, they're going to be like, oh, this guy's saying that he's going to be this type of player. But people are really praising his leadership and compare him to his playing style to Devin White. And if you're telling me I'm getting a guy in the 5th round, Devin White but I mean, it is scary. He's going to be coming off a spinal surgery. But if I'm getting a guy like that who's fast and is a leader, who's willing, to tackle, willing to do the right thing, and I get him in the 5th round, like that's just hype, man. I really like him. And the second person that I like 2 more. And John Ridgeway out of Arkansas, the defense tackle, big old body. And it was kind of funny what he said in his after his draft. He was like, you can just tell he has that nasty. And the first thing he says is like, I'm going to come here and I'm willing to break someone's neck. Like, that's just funny, man. Like, how are you going to say that? Like, all like so nonchalant, like I'm going to break someone's neck. Like that just like, I'm not advocating him for actually to go break someone's neck. But I want that nasty to the Cowboys. Like everyone, their run defense is lackadaisical. And it's just so, man, like if you're a running back and you're playing the Cowboys, you're running for 100 easy, man. It's just like, I want them to be that big run defense where people are like, oh man, I'm going to have a tough day. And they just need those big old bodies. And then Ridgeway is one of those big bodies that just fills space up. And the last guy that I'm real hyped about is undrafted Texas Tech kicker Jonathan Braby. This man, I'd never heard of this man. Looked at his highlights, and dude, this guy is a baller. And he's probably going to be the Cowboys starting kicker. And like, I never would have talked about him. I personally wanted the Cowboys to go after Cade York out of LSU or Dicker, the kicker in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, like we're going to draft a kicker. But then we get Texas Tech kicker. And the first highlight I pull up when I look on Twitter, this guy's kicking a 62-yard field goal for the win. Like,
oh, my God.
Yeah, like who kicked 62-yard field goals in college? This guy is clutch. And he's had like limited starting time, but I mean, dude, this guy's clutch, and like the Cowboys need a kicker. They only have Chris Nagar on there, and this guy's barely played in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the names that you did, because there are a few names that kind of caught my eye as well that I wanted to get your thoughts on. So, of course, they got some tight end depth with Jake Ferguson, who can catch the ball, and he's a good run blocker, which is exactly what the Cowboys want in a tight end. And as we saw, I mean, they had Zeke doing a lot of blocking, especially in that game one or that first week against Tampa Bay last season. So that'll kind of help fill the void there, and he can catch. And the Cowboys love kind of using plays where they get to utilize their tight ends, especially in the end zone or like kind of obscure like throwing plays. But this other name, tackle Matt Waletzko. Mm-hmm. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Mm-hmm. Okay, from North Dakota. This pick actually got a bunch of praise as well. And some people believe that this guy has as much potential as a tackle as like any of the top like tackles or guards in this draft. And again, it's potential. So you got to mold it properly and develop it and teach him. But he's got all the developmental traits with a ton of upside.
Mm-hmm. Dude, like just starting off, this guy is massive. This guy is 6'8", 312, like, and has 36-inch arms. Like this guy needs to be in the NBA. Like this guy's like a center in the NBA. Like what is this guy's playing in the wrong sport? This man needs to go to Philly right now.
Yeah,
go play for the 76ers because Joel's not out there. Philly needs a center, and he needs to go guard Bam Adebayo. Like Philly needs help. They need to call this man up. Hey, bro, like we'll sign you to a 10-day. Just come out and play. Like he is gonna be a monster if he pans out well. Even if he doesn't, that's still going to be a good, solid swing tackle that they'll have. That was a guy that I forgot to mention as well, so my apologies. But yeah, he's going to be a stud if he pans out. Really gets that coaching up. And like I mentioned earlier, the Tyron Smith pick, Tyron Smith's going to be able to coach this man up, and you might see another generation where the Cowboys offensive line just up there elite again. And that's really what I'm hoping. It's gonna stink when Tyron and Zach walk away, but well, who knows? I mean, maybe the Cowboys are going O-line again, and we find some more diamond and roughs, or we get some high prospects, whether they draft late or they somehow draft early next year if they have a horrible season. But I'm really hyped about the future of this offensive line, and I really hope I'm not going to be jinxing them, and now I'm going to see them just get Dak on his back the whole time, and we're just next year we're just talking about how Dak needs help again. So
yeah, but like you said, we might be seeing the next like phase of this offensive line. The guys that come like after you, like you said, after Zach Martin, after Smith, and they've got time to develop too. Considering again, like that's kind of a common theme we have with this draft. And you can look at it as either way. I've seen criticisms about this draft coming from certain places about kind of the theme, and that theme to me being development. And again, like they're looking at potential guys with just good basic traits and natural ability. But again, people are kind of criticizing this draft because they went and got all these guys that need work. And don't get me wrong, the draft you're not drafting finished products. It's up to an organization to develop these guys and get the best out of them. But you're drafting like potential and just natural ability and kind of rawness. So I think that's kind of the nature of the draft anyway. Some guys are going to be more ready than others, but I don't know. Do you think that theme is kind of what's defining this Cowboys draft? Like, what do you guys think? Like, Shemaiah, do you think they went a little bit too raw on this draft, or Well, or do you think they had just a pretty solid route with this because they know they have veterans on the line and they have veterans on the team and they feel like they have time for these guys to develop?
I mean, I would say that's probably the key word, develop. They know what they're doing. That's why they're in charge of making these picks during the draft, just like every year. But for example, the key word that you said I really like is development. And I see the guy from Fresno State, what's his name? Deron. If I am correct, Fresno State. Mm-hmm. He's a good pick. Oh, you know what? Matter of fact, I believe you wrote on him, Rocky, right? Did you write an article on him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Deron Bland, yeah.
But I think he is a key player that should not be overlooked this year because he probably is a player that they will depend on. I mean, Rocky, you're the expert, so I'll let you chime in your thoughts on this. But based on Mark's keyword development, man, that's something I feel Dallas Cowboys is trying to focus on. And they need to, man, because Dak, he can't do it by himself, obviously. But the players that they chose this year, I think, were very strategic, and they weren't just like hoping they get somebody good. They put a lot of thought in these picks for sure.
No, yeah, y'all both hit the head on the nail, man. Like, I think the one thing fans don't realize is in the NFL draft, your team's going to draft these players, whether you like them or not. But you're going to have misses, man. You know, you look at the NBA, you look at the Spurs. The Spurs are known for getting these steals picks, but they're going to have a miss here and there. They're not perfect. You have the Lukas Namic pick, and people still criticize them to this day. But, like, the best franchises and front offices, they don't hit on all their picks. I mean, people criticize the Patriots for drafting Cole Strange out of Chattanooga in the first round. Like, if you would have told me that name, Cole Strange, like, hey, do you know who Cole Strange is? No clue, dude. Like, I never would have heard of that guy. And it's no disrespect to the guy. You know, he's in the NFL. You know, I'm here talking sports about him. I'm here talking about him. So, you know, chase your bag, dude. But, like, who knows if he's going to pound out? When you're in that draft, any sports draft, you're taking a risk on anyone. The most for sure prospects sometimes don't pan out. You know, you have those busts. And I understand Cowboys fans are, well, we could have drafted this name, and they go by the names and the big plays, and you see draft analysis saying, oh, this is a bad pick. And, you know, like the one example I had was where the one example I can think of is where Mel Kiper graded, I don't remember what year, but it was when Russell Wilson came out. You know, they had drafted Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, Bruce Irvin. He said it was the worst draft Seahawks ever had. And dude, those guys turned out to be all pros.
Yeah.
And it's like, even like the best analysis are going to miss. You know, Mel Kiper has his misses, you know, Todd McShay and all of them, man. You know, the most famous people you can think of. You can put film and watch any prospect, and you may think he's the for sure thing, but it's like, dude, like every pick you make is going to be a risk, man. Like, who knows, like, what's going to pan out? Like, the best example I can think of is you got Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf was the first prospect, man. Everyone was praising this guy as the next big thing, and he gets picked over Peyton Manning. And it's like, oh my God, why did they pick, you know, why didn't they go trade up to get Ryan Leaf? Dude, look at Ryan Leaf now, man. Like, you're never going to get that distant pick. And I think development is a very key word, and that should be the key word for every team. You can have those for sure prospects, but it's all about your team's development. And whether sometimes it's just like those talented prospects don't pan out in poor situations in their poor environment. So, like, dude, like, if we get these players and they pan out, cool. But, like, we're just going to be having the same constant arguments, like, with fans. But fans need to realize these players, like, whether they get drafted high or get drafted low and they have those expectations, they still made it to the league. And, like, you know, if the front office and the team sees that they were successful in the terms of what they evaluated them, then that's on them. All we can do is just cheer and watch for the players, and hopefully they help their team win games, and we can just root them on.
Yeah, for sure. Just one other quick question. So the Cowboys were criticized for, again, going back to the Tyler Smith pick. They were criticized for that pick for drafting him over edge, you know, Jermaine Johnson and even George Karlaftis. I hope I said that correctly, but they got some criticism for that. and again, from what I understand, the Cowboys, their mindset for especially the line, they were targeting the best offensive lineman available to them at the time in the draft, which of course was Tyler Smith, because we had just talked about the idea of them potentially trading up or trading down. Of course, they didn't end up doing that, so they kind of followed their ideology of, okay, we're going to get the best offensive lineman that's available to us right now, meaning Tyler Smith, and he's got a ton of potential. But do you think they could have just gone with an edge that was graded higher over Tyler Smith, or do you think they're all right with Tyler Smith?
I mean, yes and no. Like, they could have gone with edge. Was it a big need? I mean, you have some rotational guys that can fill the edge spot. That's kind of it. Not necessarily easier job to fill, because I mean, all NFL positions are hard. I mean, you're a superior athlete. You're one of the best athletes in the world. So if you're in the NFL, you're going to be talented. But I just feel like edge is a position that you can fill out easier. Jermaine Johnson and George. I don't even know how to say his last name either, man. I think it's like
I quiver whenever I have to say his name.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'll pay anyone $5 if they can say his name right, man. Like, whoever's hearing this, like, hit me up on Twitter at Rox Jr. If you tell me the proper pronunciation of George Karloff, what I don't even know how to say it, I'll give you $5, man. But I thought Jermaine Johnson would have been a solid pickup, top 15 guy. A lot of people were real hype about him. But if they had Tyler Smith higher than some of the people, then so be it. I mean, people have different opinions on which prospects are better. You never know. And people, of course, down the road are going to be like, redrafting the 2022 NFL draft. The Cowboys should have went with blah, 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 blah. And it's every year, man. But, I mean, we'll have to see it's too early to really grade, and we're just going to see what's going to happen. I mean, I hope I bite my tongue about the Tyler Smith pick, and I'm hoping this guy becomes an all-pro and he's just helping the Cowboys win games. And I'm just tweeting about Tyler Smith just pancaking guys and just that nasty he's bringing. I really hope I bite my words, and I hope, people come after me after that tweet. They're like, oh, remember when you were bashing Tyler Smith? It's like, yeah, dude, but like, remember when the Cowboys actually won a game and now they're actually winning games? Like, yeah, dude, we'll have to see what happens. But I mean, I'm not a front office guy, and I probably never will be. That just seems like a stressful job, having to actually choose the picks, man. I couldn't deal with that scrutiny, whatever I do.
Yeah, and those names are going to stick with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think Tyler Smith's in good hands? Because the Cowboys have got a pretty good reputation of developing linemen.
Yeah, I mean, like, I keep hitting the head, man. I hit on the nail. Like, Tyron Smith's there for him. Zach Martin. I think the biggest loss that they had on the line was La'el Collins. As much as people hated on man and they had the off the field issues and all that, La'el Collins was a heck of a player, and he was real key to their offensive line. I was kind of happy, as mean as it sounds, like when Connor Williams left, I was like, oh, thank God. The penalties. It's like, oh, no more penalties, man. Dude, like, y'all both saw it, man. 49ers game, Cowboys get a big play.
Oh my gosh.
Holding number 52, Connor Williams. It's like, oh my God, dude. Every single play. And you know what? Tyron had his holds here and there, but it's like, it's Tyron. And I mean, I'm wishing Connor the best. Hope he does good in Miami. Miami looks like a heck of a team with the team they got.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So we'll have to see. But dude, the NFL is going to be real exciting this year.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I think the AFC should just be its own league at this point. Dude,
that's what I'm saying. Aaron should have retired a long time ago, because he's going to be kind of PO, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, for sure, man.
Because if anyone thinks that he's actually going to go to the Super Bowl, I mean, come on, stop kidding yourself.
Oh, he's got a tough task, and the NFC isn't even as deep as the AFC. He still has a mountain to climb to get there.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Dude, I think the one, sorry to interrupt you, but the one biggest surprise that I saw, or was kind of a little surprise, I was real surprised the Vikings were trading with the NFC North opponents, man. Like, the Vikings kept trading back and back, and I was like, are y'all good, man? Like, I saw the Lions move up and stuff. I was like, are y'all good?
I'm glad the Lions got help. So,
I mean, they also,
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be watching the training camp special on HBO. That's for sure, because I can't wait to hear the speeches. Hopefully, they help this season, because last season. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
I want to hear more Chicken Shack speeches. Honestly, like,
I mean, that was awesome. What can you actually say though? Like, everything's gonna be just for the cameras. I'm joking. That's terrible. What can you say though? I mean, after that kind of season, over all those years, and then your main quarterback leaves. And he wins the following season.
He wins the Super Bowl. Yeah, it doesn't make your organization look good.
You know, it's like, duh, you had a great quarterback. Feel like you didn't know how to help him out.
Yeah, I'm just glad Stafford's okay. Like, I'm glad he survived Detroit because, I mean, the dude played with like a really messed up back for a season over there, and I don't know why he did it. I don't know how he found the will to do it in that awful losing environment.
I mean, it was more than that. It was toxic, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to that stadium every Sunday?
I mean, that's why I was so happy for him when he did get his ring.
It's like the famous Grand Theft Auto walk, the walk of despair.
Yeah. I was just really happy for him when he finally did it because he spent so many years just dealing with a bunch of crap. So,
but guys, I will say this real quick before you sign us off. Cowboys, sorry Detroit, but we like being realistic on Baller Boys. Dallas has a very stronger chance than Detroit Lions.
1,000%, dude.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Cowboys have to make the playoffs. So
y'all have something to be excited about if you're a Cowboys fan. You have way better chance than Detroit Lions.
Yeah. It's just the problem with the Cowboys is they're their own worst enemy, man. It's just
for sure.
And
hopefully they work out the ball issue.
Oh, well, I mean, they got it. Yeah, that was a problem, but you know, the issues were way beyond that final drive. But like we touched on, the Connor Williams penalties from all over the place, really. I mean, the false starts, the holds, is very undisciplined and unorganized. But we've talked about that game a bit. But hey, Shemaiah and Rocky, before we sign off here, I've got a little challenge for you guys. I want y'all to pronounce George Karlaftis' name again.
All right. George Karlaftis.
George Karlaftis. I mean, that's the nickname. Karlaftis. Can you lift this?
Oh, can you lift this? Oh, I love that. You should, George, make a shirt. You can thank the Baller Boys. You don't even have to credit us, but just make that a shirt, please.
I wanted to ask before we go again. So, what was y'all's going off topic? What was y'all's biggest surprise of the draft? Like, if you had to say anything, whether it's a player or anything that happened.
Shemaiah, do you want to go first?
I mean, I can't really say I had any big surprise, to be honest. I mean, not for me.
Maybe two quarterback names that kind of got my attention. The Kenny Pickett pick by the Steelers in the first round.
Okay.
That mainly because, from what I understand, Kenny Pickett is very similar to Mitch Trubisky, who they just picked up. And
I'm glad he doesn't play defense.
Right. No, well, I think Pickett's in a good system. They know how to take care of their quarterbacks, and they know how to utilize the running backs in the offense. So I think he's going to be fine. But that pick was interesting. I was surprised at how much Malik Willis dropped, considering all the hype going into the draft, and the really interesting dynamic between him and Tannehill right now. I don't know if you all saw the Tannehill comment about his mentorship. He's like, it's not my job to mentor the young guys. And that got a lot of attention, but we can talk about that another time. But I thought that whole thing that came out because of the Malik Willis drafting was pretty interesting. And I think he goes into a good system too. Hopefully King Henry is healthy and he comes back to form because they need him. I mean, there's a realistic chance the Titans don't make the playoffs next season.
No, for sure. And I have to agree with the Malik Willis thing. I remember seeing mock drafts having Detroit draft Malik Willis or going with the quarterback. And I was like, okay, Malik Willis would go high. And like, I'm like, dude, what's wrong with this guy? Like, why is he falling so low? But I also think the biggest surprises was, dude, UTSA, man. Like, I thought Tariq Woolen was going to go higher. People were hyping him up, and he fell a bit. I mean, I was hoping the Cowboys would have took him. I think I was hoping he would have fell, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. He went 5th round, correct?
I think so. I'd have to double check that, but let's roll with that for now. Yeah,
no, I mean, Matt, I can't even say that. I don't tackle his name either. What was this go?
You see, all these names, we can't say it. Well, let's go.
There we go. I believe he went 5th round with Woolen, but I was hoping the Cowboys would move up for him. And I was like, dude, like this guy is a Dan Quinn type of guy. And Tariq Woolen, I was like, heck yeah, I'm cheering on for him. But I mean, he ultimately went to the Seahawks, and then you saw Sincere go to the Seahawks, but then he got signed by the Raiders. So I'm really hoping he does good. And even Hunter Duplessis went to the Broncos for the rookie minicamp, and Spencer Buford went to the Niners. So yeah.
Well, y'all, Rocky, we want to thank you for being part of the Baller Boys, man. This has been a fun time, been a good time, and we thank you for your insight and all your charisma, enthusiasm, and all the stuff that you bring to the sports world, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all inviting me out. I was real surprised when y'all shot me a message, and I was like, oh, and then you told me I was be the first guest. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, that's cool. I mean, shout out to Rudy. I hope you listen to this. Hey, Rudy, I was a guest before you, dog. They like me more. So, no, but all love to Rudy, man. All love to Rudy.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, man, once again, appreciate you coming on here. Why don't you let the folks know, like, how can they reach you, man?
Yeah, I'm most active on Twitter, so y'all can follow me at Rocks Jr. It's ROCKSSJR Jr. I talk about anything, man. I know we talked about sports, but I'm willing to chop with anything, willing to help anyone, give some advice. Just hit me up. I mean, we can just talk about anything. If you're in the San Antonio area, let's go get some lunch, dude. We can chop it up and see. I love making new friends.
Well, you heard it, y'all. That was Rocky Garza Jr. And it's time to close up shop here on the Baller Boys podcast. Make sure to check out the podcast. We're all over the place. We're on YouTube. If you don't like listening to Apple Podcasts, we are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're all over the place. We're probably on Mars at this point, but type in Baller Boys podcast and tell everyone we talk sports, and more sports. It's your boy, Mark, and the SOTB, the music man with the plan, Shemai.
Yeah, man. You know what it is. I'm on Mars too, man. Follow me on Twitter, on the internet. Well,
the internet.
Right. Shemai on the BT, you know where to find me. So that's it.
Yeah. And follow me at Mark the MC, MARKTH, 3 3s, no E's, capital M, capital C. Hit us up on the Twitter machine and tune in next time when we talk about your favorite sports, and more sports. Tell your mom, tell your grandma. Adios.